Hi, this is Krista Silz here, and I have Denise, and she is a business owner and entrepreneur and has great mindsets and systems in place to help her and her team succeed. And I just wanted to bring her on here just to talk about mindset and just any business tips that you can help our audience. So, tell us a little bit about your background, about how you became an entrepreneur, and we can go from there.
Excellent. Krista, thank you so much for having me on. And I just want to start out with a long time ago, I was told because of not having a college education that I would only be able to go so far in a company. And when I was working for the company that told me that, I gave them my 2 weeks notice. And I went to find a family owned business because I thought if I'm ever going to succeed, I have to get past that piece of not having a college education, which to your audience, I'm hoping that they understand that I don't have any issues with people getting college educations. I think it's awesome that that's there for people, but I also know that that isn't the end all. And I actually did find a family owned business, started to go to work for them, started at the bottom, worked myself way, up the ladder, wound up in sales, and then wound up creating, I believe I was 29, my own promotion and marketing company, because that's what their family business was in. And after being with them for 4 years, I started my own and had a very successful promotion and marketing business in Illinois. One of the greatest pieces that I think that brought to me was understanding how important it is to have systems in place that people can follow so that they can be rewarded for what their production is based on the systems that are in place. But if people don't have something to follow, they seem to get the next shiny object that comes in front of them, and they kind of go off on a tangent. So one of the things that I've really prided myself in is putting systems in place, getting together with people that have systems in place. One of the sayings is we are who we surround ourselves with, right? We become who we surround ourselves with. So I kept seeking out people that were better than me, that could help me sharpen that tool. And I believe that a lot of tools in our toolbox is super important for us to be successful. So that's a lot of my background. I wound up selling my business when I was 40, had a second child, wound up staying home for a while, got pretty bored with that pretty quickly, and wound up just getting involved in different types of network marketing and other businesses. I actually now own a wellness spa that is all about our gut health, because our brains are tied so completely to our gut. So if we're not eating correctly or taking care of ourselves when we go out to start our day, if we want to conquer something big, it's really tough to do if our minds are a leftover of what we put in our bodies. So that's where I am now. I actually own a wellness spa. I also work with a manufacturer. And my biggest thing is connecting people, connecting strong people that want to learn and grow and put systems in place that help their families. Like, totally pay it forward to your families, to your children. It's great. It's a great piece.
I know we were talking, so a lot of it's about, just having a mindset. To be a leader, you have to have your mindset, right? You have to have
Yeah.
the systems in place, not just only teach other people. You have to be able to keep your mind right as well. And you're talking about some morning routines. Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So it took me a while to get these in place where I actually do them every morning now. And I can tell you it was probably about a 5 year process. I'd start, I'd stop, start, I'd stop. But what I want to tell everyone is that is what it is. It is the process and the day to day work that you're doing that brings everything together. And then one morning you wake up and it's like, I can't do my day without these. So when I wake up in the morning, the very first thing I do is I get out of bed. And before I touch my phone, before I grab a cup of coffee, before I do anything, I just go and sit in a chair and I just get quiet. And it's my meditation time. And, when I first started out, I couldn't get the noises out of my head. It was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this, right? So on YouTube, there's all different types of practices that we can use and recordings that we can use. But the greatest gift is to be able to sit there for 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes it goes into 30, all depending on how deeply I can get into emptying my mind out and allowing just the space to be there for whatever is supposed to come in. And I've worked with many women and men. It is probably one of the hardest things to do. So it's easy to do. We think get up in the morning and go sit in a chair, right? But, you know, kids start coming, grabbing our attention, you know, the phone starts beeping, all of a sudden our mind starts going. And before you know it, all of a sudden you're running and you're chasing your tail and you're no longer in control. And what I do know is we can control this part of us. It was not given to us to control us. God gave it to us for us to control our minds. So, you know, just like if you're going to the gym and you're doing 10 reps a day, if you do that 4 or 5 days a week, you're going to see things change in your body. It's the same with your mind. So the first thing I do is I get up and I do 10 minutes of, at least 10 minutes of meditation. The second thing I do is some type of exercise, whether I go out walking or it's with weights or I go to the gym. Every single day is some type of movement or stretching, something that allows my body to say, again, I'm in control of my body and I get to do things that make me feel good. The third thing I do is I follow a 21-day healthy eating plan. And it doesn't mean I'm on it every single day. It means that's the plan that I put in place after being incredibly sick, but it totally changed my life from a gut health, which again helps my mind. So if there's a theme here and everything is about the mind. Mm-hmm. The next thing that I do 5 days a week is read 10 pages a day with some type of book. The last book I read was, it was called, I'm a Badass at Making Money. Because a lot of women come to me and they're like, you know, what can I read? What's helpful? What was helpful to you? And what's helpful to me is having a woman share her story going from nothing to having everything. And that means a balanced life, right? Wealth is all about a balanced life. It doesn't mean you know, I've been in a place where I've made millions of dollars, but I wasn't healthy here and I wasn't healthy physically. Right. And when that took me out, I had no idea how I was going to rebuild. And I rebuilt because of walking through this process and the pain of being sick and not knowing what to do next. Right. So all these tools that I've put into place have been from that.
Talking about work-life balance, Darius just came down.
Hi there.
Say hi.
I love it.
Hi.
How are you?
Virtual training video. So you want to go get breakfast? Sure. Okay.
And that's the other thing that I think is such a gift is us doing working moms from home is one of the greatest gifts that I could have received. And I'm sure now you're experiencing that as well, where they can pop in and we can still do what we got to do.
Right. They're off school today, so it's nice to be able to still be productive without having to get a sitter all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's great for the budget, right?
Yeah, and they see me working. It's really cute. My son recently, he said, "Mom, I want to learn photography because that's my main business, right?" So I had given my teenager my old camera, and she just really has not gotten into it. She wanted to, and she didn't. She's like, I want to try editing, and she did like 5 clicks. I'm like, no, this is boring. Like he's like all into it. It's so exciting. So he actually, I was testing some lighting because I was going to do a session actually in my home, which I don't do very often, but this particular client just wanted to come here. It was a friend of mine. And so we were setting it up for the first time in my new house. And I was like testing the lighting and stuff. And he's like, Mom, can I take pictures of you? And he actually took a couple really good pictures that I'm going to use as my headshots.
Awesome.
So I was like, those turned out really good. And then he's like, can we edit? Can you teach me? So it's really fun to see, you know, my kids wanting to kind of follow in my footsteps. And that happens a lot. Your kids do what you do. Like they see what you do and they want to become who you are. I know my mom always had a job. And one of the things was like, oh, I want to try doing what she's doing. I ended up I didn't like it, but I at least looked at the option and took,
Yeah.
whereas, so me becoming an entrepreneur and not just an employee, I pride myself in like trying to teach my kids that like there are other options out there. You don't, you find what a passion is, and then you figure out a way to get paid
That's right.
passion, and you're never going to work a day in your life.
That's right.
So,
I have two boys, the one's 33 and the one's 18. And the one thing I always taught them was have your own business, make sure that you're working for yourself, and then put all these tools. So we have a group text, and every single morning it's called Conquerors. And every single morning we send texts back and forth to each other that says, all right, meditation done, workouts.
I love it. Your accountability partners or your sins. Yeah. I love it. And that's important too, the accountability partners. And I know that's for me, like I started doing kind of the morning routine stuff before we even met. And it's just, there was no accountability. And I'm just going to keep hitting snooze today. Like, got to get out of that routine. And so I find sometimes I do my meditation and stuff at night after everybody's gone to bed. I'm like, I know it's best to do it right in the morning, but sometimes it's when you can find
when I get to the bottom of my list, you'll see it's awesome to get yourself before you go to bed in the right mindset. So gratitude is massive at night before you go to sleep. Shutting off all the electronics half an hour before you go to bed. Maybe picking that book up again, or at least going through a list in your mind or listening to something that's allowing you to remember everything that you're grateful for. Because all we have is the moment. Like none of us know if we'll be here tomorrow physically on this planet.
Right.
So knowing that, being grateful for what we've experienced in the day and allowing us to have hope for the future is really, have you ever gone to, I used to go to bed and I would be going through the day, be looking at all the things that either I didn't get done or where I had a problem. And when I shifted that, my mornings became amazing. I would wake up feeling amazing instead of waking up with what I went to bed with. So our bodies get to keep going while we sleep, and we'd much rather have us sleeping with good thoughts in our head. So
I love that.
That's funny that you said that. The 55 times 5 rule I was sharing with you, I think before we got started on the video, it's that I've implemented to my teams. And that's just where you take a sentence, anything that is a good feeling or something you want to attract into your life, and you write it out. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes every day. And you write that sentence 55 times for 5 days. What occurs in your life from doing that is truly amazing. It has shifted so many people that I work with, my own life. Again, I told you earlier that we have to practice these things before we teach them to other people. And one other thing that I implemented quite a while ago, and this was, I had heard this somewhere because there's no original thought. Everything that we do is taken from somewhere, someone brilliant that went ahead of us. And that was, whatever hand you are, if you're right-handed, brush your teeth for 21 days with your left hand. And if you're left-handed, brush your teeth with your right hand for 21 days. We all come from a space. I'm left-handed, so I come more from the right side of my brain, but both sides of our brains bring different pieces to us, the creative side and then the more intentional side. So it's a great piece to use, and it's really difficult in the beginning. It's really awkward, I have to do, but it really does. I've had friends that have done this, that wanted to start their own business but didn't feel brave enough to do it, and they did the 21-day brushing their teeth with the opposite hand, and things opened up for them. So another tool, we have a lot of testimonies of these pieces that work for our teams, but I just wanted to throw a couple of them out there for you this morning so that you're.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Excellent.
Awesome. All right. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you want to share? I do want
There's
to, I know you do have another system, but you don't want to really go into it today. So I think you've given us a lot of valuable information. I do appreciate you coming on here and sharing that. Briefly, just kind of mention this other system, and we're going to talk in more detail about it sometime in the future. So,
wonderful.
yeah.
So it's a follow-up system. So one of the things I found with owning my own business, and this started in the promotion and marketing world, was I needed a follow-up system. You know, we're only as good as our follow-up. They say the fortune's in the follow-up. Such a true statement. So it's a system that I have in place, and I use my iPhone to help me keep that system running, but I also can sit down and easily teach someone. So whether it's someone in network marketing or it's somebody that is a business owner just struggling with retaining and holding on to customers, whatever it may be, I actually use it sometimes even for just stuff that's going on in my life, like my personal side. But it's a system that I've put in place, and it ties our notes section of our phones to our calendar. And it also ties locations where you drive. So what happens is, you know, it actually alerts you when you drive somewhere to look at your notes section so you can see who's on your follow-up that day. And we can walk through that in more detail, and maybe even bring up a share screen so we can see how that's implemented. But yeah, I would love to share about that in more detail.
Yeah, one of the simple things I do is just a good starter for anybody is in my Google Calendar, you can do a reminder for all day. If you do it as all day, you can put it pins it to the top of the day. And if you don't complete it that day, it automatically goes to the next day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so there's sometimes I'll be like, oh, I don't want to forget to follow up this person. I'll put a reminder like, okay, this is the date I want to follow up with them. And then if for some reason I don't get to it, it will go on to the next day so I don't forget. So that's a simple, free, awesome way to just get started. But definitely want to learn more about your system too, so because I think that can benefit a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. So do you use it for multiple things? So people who have multiple businesses might be able to use this system, correct?
That's correct.
All right, we can always reach out to Denise to learn more about that, but we are going to try to do a video probably in a couple weeks to go into that more detail. So, but yeah, so we're just going to end this call because you've given us so much information, and I want to thank you for that. So I'm going to end the recording, and we can
thank you, Krista.